Rogan Report podcast. Check it out.
All things Joe Rogan by day. Rogan Report podcast by night. All day. All night. Half hour to an hour-ish episodes once a week.
The Rogan Report podcast.
Welcome to Season 1, Episode 3 of The Rogan Report.
Welcome back.
Rogan podcast all day, all night, all day,
Little theme music for
all
you.
night, all day, all night.
Keeps going.
One of the worst theme songs in podcast history, but short enough that it's like you don't mind hearing it every single. For me, I'm skipping the fucking 15 minutes of ads.
Yeah.
And I'm just listening for that little hint of theme music.
Yep.
I'm skipping 15 seconds at a time. I hear the theme music. I back off essentially to like 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And then I hear Rogan say, "My guest today."
Yeah.
And then away we go.
Oh, it's pretty steady. It's always
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Big week for the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yep.
And consequently, a big week for us, Shane. How are you finding it, making sure that you listen to all the Joe Rogan episodes every week? Has that been easy for you or is it tough?
So the only way it's different now, I always did listen to all of them,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm paying way more attention now.
Right,
And
making notes.
I'm circling back sometimes now too, where I
That's
never
fair.
did that before.
Yeah. I circled back on the odd ones where I was like, the theoretical physicists and whatnot, where I had trouble understanding, but I was really interested in it.
Mhm.
But most of them I wasn't listening to that carefully. I'm definitely listening more carefully now.
Yeah, definitely.
But I feel like, both of the last weeks have been 5-episode weeks, times 3 hours. That's 15 hours of
That's a lot.
podcast listening. Yeah. If you're not able to do it during your day job or whatever, that's a lot of commitment
Yeah.
that people might not have. So if you can commit 30 minutes in a week, you can get essentially everything that you would get out of listening to Rogan.
Yeah, you're getting the basics from us.
You're getting the gist.
Definitely.
And then maybe you can this can help you decide whether you want to go and commit the full 3 hours to an episode or not.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate, we had 1166 Diamond Dallas Page, DDPY, which stands for Diamond Dallas Page Yoga. Big yoga advocate, although he's resentful of calling it yoga.
Yeah, he told Rogan a few times.
Yeah, he's like, call it DDPY.
It's so
which
awkward though.
stands for yoga, but stop it. Don't call it yoga. Not my favorite episode.
No, I mean,
The health ones for me personally, like he's a big health advocate and exercise advocate. I'm sitting here probably a good 50 pounds overweight and I like things that are healthy, activities and whatnot.
Yeah.
I also love drinking and I love eating.
yeah.
So I've definitely, I probably should listen a little closer to the health ones and the diet ones. But they're typically, I would say, those are my least favorite categories of Joe Rogan episodes. I love the thinkers, the theoretical physicists, the Jordan Petersons of the world. Those are my favorite episodes. But let's get into Diamond Dallas Page. So basically, he talked about his style of yoga, which is not yoga; it's DDPY, and it is yoga.
It's yoga.
But he makes it more fun. He'll shout out little jokes in the middle and kind of make light of yoga. And were you able to understand what the difference was between his yoga and
It just sounds
yoga?
like more aggressive yoga,
Yeah,
kind of.
the same poses, but he's yelling out jokes during.
But I mean, this is what all kinds of companies like Beachbody. I mean, he's basically doing the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
making it fun, putting some music on it. Making it wrestling like, I guess.
Yeah,
You know?
that's his background. He was a
Yeah.
pro wrestler.
Yeah.
Which have you seen The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke?
I have.
Good movie.
Incredible movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That gave me some insight. I enjoyed when I was 10 to 13 years old. That was when Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, and the Demolition Brothers.
I think.
They
Yeah.
had,
They had the
red-
spikes.
Yeah, the spikes and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah. Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yeah, Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yeah.
Though the wrestling was kind of just coming into its own when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I kind of was half into it, but not wholly into it.
I never saw this Diamond Dallas Page. wrestler.
No,
That's way past my time.
yeah, that was more in the like 2000s, I think.
Yeah.
Him and Stone Cold Steve Austin, he said, was one of his best friends.
Mhm.
They lived together, were roommates for a while. Then one of the big things on the episode they talked about was Arthur's yoga video. So Arthur was a paratrooper that had injured his body intensively through years of paratrooping and many, many, many jumps. And he got extremely overweight and incredibly like unathletic and could barely like walk. And he was using like crutches to walk and wheelchairs sometimes. And then through using DDPY, he was able to, and they show the whole, it's like a 5-minute YouTube video, and they show his whole progression of starting to use yoga and then going from barely being able to walk to being able to run to being like, a happy and contributing member of society again, which he had not been for years. And they said he was turned away from like other yoga places. But I guess that's mostly just because he couldn't actually physically stand up, and they were like, "We don't know how to teach you yoga with canes."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so props to DDP Diamond Dallas Page for taking him in, and it is. I remember seeing that video a couple years ago and being like, "Wow, that is super inspiring."
Yeah. Well, and Diamond Dallas Page also was facing some fusing discs in his back, like doctors wanted to fuse him up.
Totally.
And he used yoga.
I fused 3 of my discs in my back.
Yep.
They're fully fused up. But you know what? So I've lost maybe, I don't know, 10% of my range of motion.
Mhm.
But what I found is I was never using 100% of my range of motion. Like, even the 90% that I have left is still way more than I ever need to use on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So not that big of a deal, losing 10% of your range of motion.
Yeah, for sure. I guess, yeah.
It was a hardcore surgery, and I spent 10 days in the hospital. But
I mean, yeah.
It's not that bad. Could be a lot worse. What else do we need to say about Diamond Dallas Page?
I mean, he has a new book come. I'm not sure if it's out yet. I think he was giving Joe one of them.
Oh yeah,
on the
he
episode.
wanted to get it on. He's like, I want to get this one on the big top sellers list, brother, because I'm so good at writing books.
Exactly.
The last 2 books I didn't care about. They weren't on top sellers. This one needs to be a top seller, brother. Sunday.
Doing the wrestler shit.
Yeah, a little bit.
So that book's called Positively Unstoppable: The Art of Owning It.
No, it's called Positively Unstoppable, brother. The art of owning it, brother.
Definitely.
So
yeah,
that rant that I just made, I can actually see. Normally, I'm not seeing any of the lines on the track here. That one, I could see. I got a little out of control there. I apologize, listeners.
Spiking the spikes.
I'm spiking the levels. If that blew your eardrums out, I apologize.
Yeah.
Get some new eardrums put in. You'll be fine. We'll fuse the eardrums together, and it'll be no problem.
Give it a few years.
Yeah. All right. 8 minutes on Diamond Dallas Page. Would you have expected that?
No.
Neither would I have. 1167.
Larry Sharpe.
Larry Sharpe. Libertarian candidate for governor of New York.
Yep.
Fascinating idea for reducing school shootings. That was one of the first things they talked about. And, his theory is, the cause of school shootings isn't that there's guns available, but that students are unhappy. It's essentially a public suicide.
Yeah.
And so, his ideas to reduce them, I thought were fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think of what exactly it was his plan, but I think it was essentially having students more engaged and happier about going to school.
Yeah.
That was the big thing that he thought would reduce the school shootings, which I would tend to agree with.
Well, he's against a lot of things like standardized testing and before high school.
Yeah, totally. And he thinks that school should essentially end at 16.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 16, maybe you do 1 year or 2 years of high school going into 16, and then you choose, trade school, or you choose to go to whatever isn't trade school.
Yeah, college or
university,
or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should mention we just went out and watched the UFC.
Yeah, we did.
I had about 3 doubles there, and I'm currently have a double in my hand. So I'm a little drunker than the last episode.
A little lubed up.
Little ready to talk.
That's
You know, ready to secret time.
Secret time it is. Shout out to Bert Kreischer.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I'll share any secrets, but if they come up, I will definitely share them. Can't think of any offhand.
So he goes into cutting funding with the idea of less administration,
Yeah.
and that the teachers themselves basically work out a new system.
And Rogan was not into that.
He was not, and I was backing Rogan on that for sure.
Yeah, he's like, well, okay, if you cut funding, who's going to figure out who of these administrators are gone? How do they figure out what gets done that these administrators are doing?
Yeah.
And how does that get more money for teachers? And he was kind of like, it was so funny when Rogan was talking, he'd be like, yep.
So
Yep.
ready to cut off his,
Yeah. Okay, let me tell you now. I gotta tell you what's going to happen here when I get to the schools.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, like settle down, Larry Sharpe. I don't know how many
you're a
Adderalls
politician.
he had before he went into that episode. I do think that I agree with both of them. I think that teachers need to be paid more. They need to be more valued members of society. My dad was a teacher for like 30 years, and they just don't get that's who's shaping your children. That should be like one of the most highly respected and highly paid positions in all of our society.
Yeah.
Because
They should be like doctors. I mean,
totally.
they're creating our future.
Yeah. The biggest way, I know what Rogan's often said, the biggest way for us to have a better society is to have less losers. And the biggest contributing factor to that, other than parents being less shitty, is teachers being less shitty.
Yep.
So, I would tend to agree with Rogan. We do need to spend more on teachers, but also with Larry Sharpe, we probably do need to spend a little less on the administrative side.
I think what he was kind of poorly saying is that we need to spend less, but spend a lot smarter.
Yeah.
I'm saying we. I'm up here in Canada, but
yeah. But we also probably need to spend a little less and a little smarter.
I think that's probably what you're going to find pretty well everywhere.
Especially with our healthcare system. Oh, we spend a lot, but like they were talking about in this episode, a lot of rich people in Canada will go to the States for healthcare because they can get better healthcare. They can get it faster than what's available here. And here we have long wait lists and we have free healthcare for people, which is great. There's definitely a lot of pluses about the Canadian healthcare system, but it's not. I think Canadians especially get a lot kind of high on the horse about, we have the free healthcare. Oh, America, what we stubbed our toe, we'll go to the doctor.
But you know what else though is people that live in the major cities of Canada are talking like that. If you go out, I just came back from Newfoundland. My father's sick there,
right?
And there's long waits and traveling.
Complaining about the system.
Oh yeah. Everybody does in Newfoundland complains about the system. The only major hospitals in St. John's, which is on the far other end of the island.
Newfoundland, bunch of complainers. You heard it here first.
That's yep.
A bunch of angry Newfies out there complaining about the world, not happy with what Canada gives them. But no, they're half right. All these things are so complex that it's like impossible for us to solve on a podcast, or even for Rogan to get to the bottom of what Larry Sharpe could possibly do. He's got an agenda. Rogan wants to put on the best show he can, so he's got an agenda too.
Yeah.
And it is tough to figure out but I do think that some radical ideas could change the world, and I'm down for trying.
Oh, absolutely.
I think getting some libertarian. I like a lot of what they do represent. I think it gets a little scary when you talk about like lifting all concerns for the environment. They lift all what do you call them? Like environmental protections and whatnot, and have the government fully out of that, and then just trusting that customers are going to not shop from companies who pollute and destroy the environment.
And I mean, we've already proved that we're going to.
Yeah.
We're still going to, even with regulations.
Absolutely. So it seems we definitely need some regulation. And that was one thing too I found from Larry Sharpe. He was saying, no, we need some regulation. When Rogan was saying, who's going to come up with what teachers are allowed to do? And he's like, well, there will be some administrators, which the extreme libertarians would say, no, we turn all the schools into businesses, and there's no restrictions and no standards for what anybody learns.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't see that creating equality either.
no, it seems crazy to me.
Yeah.
But he was saying there should be some standards. So he's libertarian, but it seems like he's not as far. Would libertarian be left or they would be center?
I feel like they're kind of the epitome of center. But,
Yeah.
But they're sort of separated also. It's a tough one.
But he's not like as deep into the libertarianism as some of the other libertarians I've heard speak. If that makes sense.
Fair enough, yeah.
I thought it was funny how he said yip, yip, yip all the time. I thought it was a really good idea to name the streets and bridges after companies.
For me, that was my takeaway from him. That kind of turned me back on his side a little bit, actually, at that point.
Yeah.
I was kind of moving away from him.
Yeah, he seemed like a bit of an asshole about the education system.
Yeah.
The thing is that he's not an expert in education.
No.
He can't be. And, with the amount of time he spent, in business and in politics, you just can't be an expert on education.
He said as much.
Yeah.
Multiple times, to be fair.
That's true.
Yeah.
So he didn't have a lot of the answers that Rogan was kind of looking for. He didn't have like a really full and solid plan about how he's going to implement his system.
Yeah.
But I thought the idea for let companies name the bridge the Google Bridge, and then Google will take care of the maintenance of the bridge and also pay however many $1 million a year to have their name on the bridge.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But what better billboard is there? Like,
yeah, totally. Like in
everybody's gotta
Edmonton,
use
all
it.
of our bridges, like we have the High Level Bridge, John and McDonald, the Grote Bridge. No businesses own any of those. They're just named after like famous Canadians or how high the fucking bridge is.
Yeah.
Great bridges. Let's put some names on them. Let's earn some revenue for the province or the city.
So I learned also that New York tariffs the holy hell out of everybody that lives there.
Yeah, that's not good.
2 billion, I think he said, or was it 1.2? Either way, that's a lot of freaking.
Yeah. And initially, they came up with that system to pay for the cost of building the bridge.
Yeah.
Like, we can't build these bridges, so we need to put tariffs in so that we can tolls is what it is.
Yeah.
We need to have tolls, so if you're going to cross, then that'll pay for the bridge. And then once they paid for the bridge, you're like, nah, we just like having this money.
We're never going to pay it off.
We're going to keep it. But yeah, that makes it so much slower to get through as well. That's a big part of what their traffic problems are.
I experienced that in Nova Scotia and Quebec, somewhere else.
PEI?
There. I didn't go over
New Brunswick.
PEI. New Brunswick.
Newfoundland.
All of those places.
Ontario.
Good luck getting to Newfoundland without putting out some money.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So that was 1167. Larry Sharpe. Anything else you want to say about Larry Sharpe?
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
How many third eyes would you rate that out of 5?
3.
I'm going to say 4.
Yeah.
I like Larry Sharpe. I think it was an interesting conversation, and I'll say 3. I'm going to say 2 for DDP.
That's what I was going to say too. Yeah.
Enough of you, DDP. Don't ever go back on Rogan again.
Oh, he wouldn't leave too. Joe Rogan was like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait,
Let's
I
do
got
a
20
workout,
more
brother.
minutes to talk about. Well, I'm coming back on. He's like, yeah, sure.
All right. Well,
I'm sure he will though.
yeah, we'll see.
So this is the guy that made Joe's knives that he kept posting. Actually, it's been a while since he did, but maybe a year or so ago, he got these knives from this character, and there's some pretty amazing knives.
Right.
Um,
They sound fancy. I didn't actually go to the Instagram and look at them, but some of them made from meteors, right?
yeah,
That's pretty awesome.
totally awesome.
Space knives.
Yeah, they touched on some interesting stuff though, not related to knife making,
Okay.
like the memories of places. Which,
Oh yeah.
kind
Like
of,
if there's a big horrific murder in a
yeah,
place.
not so much ghosts, but just sort of an
Energy. Yeah.
memory.
Sure. The Comedy Store they probably talked about
For sure.
and the energy's in there, and yeah, I know what the fuck Rogan would say about that. Although I didn't listen. Yeah, that was the only episode that I didn't get to listen to. I listened to about half an hour of it, and then I had to choose because we were recording this episode tonight, and I was like, well, I definitely want to listen to the MMA show with Eddie Bravo.
Oh, definitely.
So I went back and I stopped about half an hour in. I will listen to Mareko Maumasi. Absolutely, I will listen to that entire episode. because I've listened to every episode of Joe Rogan so far that has existed. So I can't
Get back to it.
I can't let him spoil my fucking streak here. But yeah, a half hour in, I was like, ooh, not so into it. And I definitely want to listen to the MMA show. Now, the MMA show was before 1168. You have jumped ahead here slightly, Shane.
Are you sure?
No? But yes. Let me pull up my...
Because I thought the MMA show was on Thursday, and the 1168 was on Wednesday.
Well, I'm about to confirm or deny your suspicions.
If I did, I apologize.
If you did, you will be fired from the podcast.
Ruben's coming in hot tonight.
I am drunk. I don't know if you could tell this about me, listeners.
That's
a little
enjoy
argumentative.
podcasting.
Yeah.
You don't actually have bosses.
Yeah, sometimes you're drunk. All right. Well, you may be right about this. I apologize. Beg your pardon.
I wouldn't have said so.
Beg your pardon. So I skipped ahead then instead of skipping back.
Yeah.
I listened to the first half hour because I had all of these loaded, and I just started listening to them on Friday.
I didn't listen to them in order, though.
No, neither did I, because I skipped ahead. 'Cause Elon Musk, how do you not listen to Elon Musk as soon as that episode is out?
I dropped everything. I actually was listening to, I think, a Bill Burr episode. when
I
saw that one.
jacked off the entire hour and 40 minutes of Elon Musk's episode.
A little bit of a hero worship happening there.
And it was actually 2 hours and 44 minutes that although it was probably 2 hours and 34 minutes because there's 10 minutes of ads in the beginning.
That's right. Yep.
Anyways, you're right. It was Mareko Maumasi,
Maumasi, I think it was.
Maumasi.
Yeah.
Maumasi.
I think I saw a picture of him on Instagram.
Mareko.
That's,
Morocco?
I think it's an Asian name.
Let's just turn the podcast into talking about how people pronounce the names.
Let's do it.
We
can move on to episode 40.
We were watching the UFC earlier, and good God, is it hard to pronounce some of those names.
Oh, God.
There was the Polish female, Kowalkiewicz, yeah.
But you wouldn't know that from that spelling.
No. And of course, from Dagestan, we had... there's Nurmagomedov, which is actually said correctly just now.
Yeah.
Khabib Nurmagomedov, and then tonight fighting. And what is his last name?
Magmedo Shapirov, I think. And his first name is Zabit.
Zabit, not Sabid.
No.
Zabit.
Yeah.
Zabit.
Yep.
Great fights tonight, Shane. That was awesome. Should we talk about those before we talk about
we can
the
touch on
MMA
that.
show?
Might as well.
We went out to the local watering hole here. Really decisive finishes today. Unlike we watched a little bit of the prelims here at my house before we went, and a crazy knee bar. What was that fight? Was that girls?
You're thinking of Jermaine?
Oh yeah.
And what was the other guy? Stamen? Cody Stamen, I think?
Stamen, yeah.
Yeah.
And they are as light as girls.
Yeah, no, bantamweights. That's what it is, yeah.
They were bantamweights. And so they punch each other in the head a bunch, but it doesn't seem to really do anything. But then they do land some pretty severe kicks, which definitely do something. And in this case, a crazy knee bar. It was like he had his back, and then he grabbed his knee from his back and like twisted it around sideways.
Just jerked it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No one saw that coming.
It was rough.
I think they said that was the first time in the UFC, or maybe the second time that's ever happened in the UFC.
Yeah.
So props to you, black guy.
But how about Zabit's crazy finish too? He basically folded that dude up.
Yeah. Zabit had another weird leg lock where he had his back and he was on the bottom.
Yeah.
And then he like pulled his leg up and he was doing like it didn't look like he was in that much.
The cha-cha-cha move almost.
Yeah.
He just jacked that leg up.
I know some girl, like if he was fighting against, what are those crazy circus guys that do the weird stretches? They did the Beatles one, and they are called. Listeners, you know what I'm talking about. If he was fighting against one of those guys, they would be able to flex into that position, no problem.
Yeah, that dude never had his legs stretched like that.
No, he did not. he basically had his knees pulled up to his chin, and it was too much.
Yes.
So good fight. And then Andrade just dominated.
Oh my God.
The Koala Kacheva.
Fully beat down. Shit was rough to watch.
Kwakalavelovich.
Kolakevich.
I don't know how you say it. I trust you.
I actually like her. I only remember because I like her.
Yeah, she's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Definitely better looking than Andrade.
Oh my God.
If it was a swimsuit competition.
Jeez, man, those arms.
Yeah.
She's bigger arms than most dudes I know.
Yeah, she's ripped and
Holy shit. And the jaw, like everything. She just looks.
Yeah, and the short haircut.
Jesus.
The freshly.
She had long hair
trimmed.
before. She was kind of halfway pretty before.
Yeah.
She got real dude like.
Yeah, she's. I mean, it's not about that.
No,
but it's a factor.
No,
when I'm watching
for sure.
It.
It's an entertainment thing, whether it's real fighting
can't
or not.
not be influenced by what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, she won that very decisively, knocked her out. Like one of the craziest knockouts. It was like, because I haven't seen someone be knocked out like that. It's not like she's hitting that hard, but like that girl did not take that punch well.
No,
didn't see it coming.
Head bounced off the ground.
Yeah, she got hit from like a right hook that knocked her out, and then she got like a left to the temple
right on the way down.
And then bounced her head off the mat.
I'm still not quite used to seeing girls get fucked up like that.
It is worse.
Even if it's girls fucking up the girls, it's
harder to see than to watch the dudes fight somehow.
That's some lingering sexism.
Totally. Yeah, we should work on that.
Yeah.
And we will.
Absolutely.
And then of course the big event was Woodley and Till. And I went into that fight, and spoiler alert, I mean, if you're listening to this, we're spoilering every single Joe Rogan episode.
You probably won't hear it till Wednesday, though.
Oh, yeah,
that's like a half
you
a
got
week
some time.
at
You could
least.
pause it now, and you could go download them, and watch the fights or watch them on Fight Pass.
Of course, the spoiler alert's about 10 minutes late, but
yeah. But my point is, do we need to say spoiler alert? Because the whole point of the podcast is we're spoilering Joe Rogan episodes.
I don't think live events work the same way, because you can't go on Facebook if you don't want things spoiled about UFC, like literally already.
And I won't. If
if
it's something that I'm not able to watch it like on the Saturday, I will stay off my phone the next day, and then I have to go to work, which is tough for me because I work in a sports store. Then avoid those conversations all day, and then I'll get home and I'll download it and watch it Sunday night. If I haven't seen it by Sunday night, I'll expect to be spoiled.
Yeah,
I can't be.
You'll
mad.
start
Monday
watching
morning,
clips and whatever.
Like Monday morning, I'm fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I have been pretty good so far about when I haven't been able to see the Saturday night show, about watching it Sunday and not getting spoiled.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
Make my dog bark. All right. So
Till and Woodley.
Wait a minute. Yeah, what about it?
Well, good fight.
It was a good fight.
Till didn't put out like I thought he was going to put out.
No,
but
I expected a little. Woodley put out more. He came out swinging.
Yeah.
The first like 10 seconds, he was like swarming on Till and had Till backing up, and I think that was a good move
for sure.
Because Till was like, "Ooh, shit, fuck, I don't know if I should. I'm getting hit. This sucks."
Kind of forgot how explosive he was, man. Holy shit, he's
totally
explosive.
But yeah, he had Till kind of on his heels, and then Till never really seemed comfortable after that.
No.
And then, yeah, Woodley was just really dominated the whole fight all the way up to the end.
Yeah. Well, and then he knocked him down in the second round, and it was just elbow sandwich left and right. Oh my god.
Yeah, the first round. Do you give the first round to Woodley? Maybe the first round could have been. First round wasn't very decisive.
No,
Might have
but
even been Till.
I think the only strikes that were really landed were by Woodley.
Yeah,
the first one too.
I'm kind of having.
I'd have to watch it again, but
yeah, I'm kind of having trouble remembering it because I was drunk.
Super quick too.
Still am.
Yeah, we're still. It's ongoing.
Cheers, Shane.
Cheers.
But yeah, the second round was definitely super decisively Woodley. He knocked him down. He was on him the whole time, and yeah,
I thought it could have been stopped.
Could have been stopped for sure. He was taking a lot of punches to the head.
Yeah.
But he didn't go unconscious any of the time there. So
no. And then he ended it to a Darce choke.
Yeah,
which earned Woodley his black belt. right there.
And
at
then
the end of the
Woodley was
match.
crying like a bitch.
There was some crying. There was a lot of tears.
But I also cry like a bitch fairly regularly. So
Yeah.
it's not a bad thing to cry like a bitch. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta get it out.
It could be a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, a release. It's an intense moment for these guys, I expect.
Oh, for sure. Oh,
You're-
think of all the training that goes into it and the months of sacrifice and
Oh yeah, it's intense for sure.
Yeah.
You ever been in an MMA fight?
no. You?
I've been in a handful of like street fights in
Yeah.
school. Won some, lost some.
I haven't been in a lot of fights. but
No?
Yeah.
Should
I've-
we fight for the podcast?
I don't think it's going to help anything.
No?
No, I got beat up once really good when I was like 20. I was pretty much bulletproof before that. But
You
that
don't
changed
reali-
it.
Yeah.
that
You don't
changed it.
realize how vulnerable you are.
And it was
You get your ass
not
kicked.
a guy my age. It was a 40-year-old dude
Oh wow.
in a parking lot randomly.
Why was he beating your ass up?
Oh, long story.
What'd you do, Shane? See, the thing about this podcast, yes, we are recapping episodes of Joe Rogan. But through our recapping of these episodes, you're also going to get to learn a little bit about Shane and myself. Shane, not very interesting. Average guy, pretty average looking.
We'll figure that out.
Myself, of course, I'm a brilliant musician.
Yep.
And I have a long history with extreme sports.
Oh my.
Much worse looking. I'm, like I've said before, many, many pounds overweight.
Oh, I wouldn't go with the. Now we're tipping the other way.
Okay.
Oh boy. Well, should we get back on track for?
I doubt it.
No,
We're at 31 minutes right now. This is officially the longest Joe Rogan report, maybe outside of the first episode, which I think was 33 minutes, if I'm remembering correctly.
Well, we got 2 more episodes to get through, so I think it's a fair bet.
That's
gonna
what I'm
beat that
saying.
Record.
So the MMA show with Eddie Bravo started off with Eddie talking about introducing his son to Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great story.
Oh yeah.
They got me right off the bat with that one. And his son, he's obviously had him in martial arts since he was like 3. Now he's like 5.
Yeah.
And he's getting super into nunchucks, and the way he talked about, he wanted to make sure that he introduced his son to Bruce Lee at a time where he would remember it, because they'd had some really important moments to Eddie that his son already doesn't remember, because you don't remember things when you're 3.
Yeah.
Right. So he wanted to make sure he introduced him to Bruce Lee at a time when he would remember seeing Bruce Lee for the first time. And his son had gotten super into nunchucks, and Bruce Lee, one of the masters of nunchucks, and certainly and the most celebrity master of nunchucks,
For sure.
and one of the most important martial arts figures of all time, no doubt.
Absolutely. Brought
So,
the interest to
Yeah,
the general public.
absolutely. I thought that was a really endearing story. I really enjoyed that part of the podcast, and that's the first probably 15 minutes of the show.
Yeah.
It's him telling that story, and then they get into talking just about Bruce Lee in general and all his different movies
And how cheesy they actually are.
I've seen Enter the Dragon. I don't know if I've seen every single Bruce Lee movie out there, so I should maybe make a list and start, because I haven't seen Enter the Dragon for 20 years.
I haven't seen any of them. Yeah, for so long.
Yeah, so
I remember seeing snippets as a kid, but like you'd watch a bit, play with your toys, and watch a bit.
they were talking about maybe doing a fight companion for like Enter the Dragon.
That's a great idea.
I would definitely watch.
Oh my God.
Watch and listen to that.
They'd have to
Um,
have Brian Callen and Schaub over there for that too.
Yeah, might as well.
That'd be a hilarious podcast.
So, yeah, then they did eventually end up talking about the fights, and they were pretty much like no one can tell who's going to win about Till and Woodley, and they talked a lot about Conor and Khabib, and about Tony Ferguson being, if either of those guys get injured, he's going to be ready and waiting to fight.
And he's already on the card, actually, fighting Anthony Pettis.
Yeah, exactly. Or do you think they would give Pettis the nod to bring Pettis up?
I can't see it.
No way, right? Tony
He
definitely.
definitely doesn't deserve it.
So who fights Pettis if Tony gets called up to fight either Conor or
I think he
Khabib?
probably gets dropped.
He falls off the card completely?
He might.
I was looking at the prelim card to see, like, there's the other Pettis is fighting.
Right.
He's
He's actually doing pretty well.
Do they go
too.
Pettis on Pettis? I don't know if they're the same weight class.
No, they're not. No.
The other Pettis is lighter,
Way
right?
smaller. He's
Yeah.
like he's either a flyweight or a bantamweight.
Yeah.
But I think he's a flyweight.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Who knows what will happen? My phone just died, so now I don't have any of my notes about my favorite episode.
Oh no.
Which is the next episode, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Do I need any notes for Elon Musk?
I've got some, but I'm sure you don't.
I don't think I need them because I listened to it today.
So that was 1169.
1169, Elon Musk. Super anticipated guest. They've talked about having Elon on for a couple of years now.
And then every day since he's been in the news. That Joe Rogan podcast has been in the news, primarily because he smoked weed live on the podcast with Joe Rogan.
Yeah, which is fine. It's
and he
legal.
doesn't smoke weed, you find out at the end of the episode,
Yeah.
which makes it even cooler.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of like one of those when in Rome moments,
Yeah.
I think.
For sure.
Yeah, you're on the Joe Rogan podcast, and Joe Rogan offers you a hoot.
Interestingly,
You're
he
gonna take a
said
hoot.
he was unaffected by it.
Would you say that?
He said it.
He said that he was unaffected. I don't know if I would say unaffected. He seemed a little, because he had this little laugh
He
that was
seemed
like,
to slow down, too.
oh.
Yeah, he
That's
did.
my, oh.
Yeah.
That's my Elon Musk. I really liked, he has sort of a little bit of an accent.
Yeah.
I just liked the way he talks. It was really interesting to listen to him. Of course, Elon Musk, inventor, famed creator of the Tesla car,
Yep.
and
SpaceX.
He wants to get people out into space. Invented a flamethrower, which we found out is really just like a welding torch or something that's got a different packaging.
Yeah.
But it was just merch. His merch. We started out with hats, and then we went with a flamethrower.
Yeah, he's so out there, man.
Yeah, which is awesome.
But awesomely out there.
And digging tunnels underneath LA to alleviate the traffic problem they have.
It's a
there.
great idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's like, I don't know what we're going to do. We got a great big hole in the ground. We'll figure it out.
yeah,
Which is how things should be done. We're innovators.
totally. What you do is you build a tunnel and you fill it in.
Yeah.
And then the hole in the ground is no longer a hole in the ground. And all of a sudden you have a tunnel under there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a smart dude for sure. His laugh I thought was my favorite part of the entire.
I really enjoyed listening to him talk about what his ideas of the fate of AI are and humanity.
Yeah, because he's a little bit scared of AI.
He's kind of
and
pessimistic.
where that could take us. But he says it's not good to be pessimistic. It's better to be optimistic and hopeful because it's just a better way to live your life.
So I guess pessimistic is the wrong word. He's just basically accepted whatever's going to happen. It's going to happen, and it's kind of too late already to stop anything. Pretty interesting.
Yeah. He was very contemplative too. When Rogan would ask him something, he would take a couple seconds every time and kind of think about it, and I think about his response, and then he was fairly measured. I would say. One of the things I thought that was really interesting was Rogan was asking what's it like to be you? What about you're so much smarter than the rest of the entire
What
world.
goes on in your head all the time?
How crazy is it to be this amazingly smart person who's doing all these crazy things? And his response was, well, I don't think you'd like being me. And he's like, I don't think most people would like it very much, would like to be me. And I thought that was a weird little telling. And I don't know if he was just trying to be self-deprecating or if he was trying to say that he doesn't enjoy being himself. It's kind of like what I was like.
Kind of, yeah.
You don't enjoy being you, and that's a little bit what I got from it. But I was like, that was one of the. It was later in the episode, a couple hours in, and I thought that was a sort of a poignant moment for me.
Did you find that he was softballing Elon a little bit? I saw that a little bit complained about.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was in the news or just kind of social media.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know what you need to take him to the task over his I don't
his
know.
recent things in the news. He said some inflammatory things about the Thailand rescue.
Okay.
He was trying to help out, and they were already doing it was already being the rescue was happening, and he was still trying to invent subs and stuff to send in there. I mean, I don't understand
Yeah.
why half the
What
world
a
got
jerk.
mad about that. But no, he did say some other things about someone being a pedophile or something. And I wish I had actually researched that a little bit more. But
yeah. I don't know. I guess I didn't know about that stuff going into the episode either. So I didn't find I think Joe Rogan talked to him about the stuff that he wanted to talk to him about, that
Fair
he was
enough.
interested in.
Yep.
And
whatever Elon Musk is saying or has said, I think that he's one of the great minds of our time.
oh, absolutely,
100%.
no doubt about that.
And
I remember a story about like he had invented these batteries that you'd put in your house. You'd basically turn a wall in your house into a battery.
I remember those.
And then that battery would, be able to power everything in your house. And you have a solar charger on your roof that would charge the battery. But you'd have one whole wall inside your house would just, instead of having a wall, you have a battery there.
Yeah.
And he had these batteries built and they were ready to ship and be sold in California. And then there was like a disaster in South America, and he's said, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to divert this whole shipment of batteries that are ready for California, that are ready for paying customers, and we're going to send them to Australia. And he just like basically donated them to help in this disaster relief.
Yeah.
Instead of selling them, which he could have definitely done.
Yep.
I thought that was like, fuck, what a amazingly awesome person to make
Absolutely.
that decision for his business. Definitely not I suppose long term you could say that it's a good business decision because it makes people think better of him and better of his company.
Well, for like a PR standpoint, absolutely.
Yeah, PR standpoint, but like business wise, you have these batteries sold and ready to go, and instead you say, no, this is a more important thing. And that's one of the things that he talks about with Rogan too, was he wants his ideas. He's trying to come up with ideas to help humanity and help the world.
Yeah.
That's what he wants to put his attention and his focus on. And, the Tesla car, it's not just a badass car that's awesome, which it is, but it's something that he thinks will help make transportation better for us as a society, make us safer, make us, faster and quicker and more efficient. And an awesome car. I would love to have a Tesla.
He was talking about the new line coming out is going to actually be able to travel 600 kilometers or 600 miles. They talk in miles, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, that's most gas tanks.
That's more than I get on a tank of gas.
Yeah.
I get like 500 kilometers, so like 300.
Yeah, no, in the city for sure 500. Yeah. On the highway I could get like 800, but
yeah. That's so.
But that's kilometers again. That's kilometers.
Yeah, totally.
So what does that look like in miles?
And right now they're getting the maximum is about 300 or so. Although he did say people were super loading the miles and going on like a straight track on the smoothest road possible with the wind behind them. Yeah. They were getting 500 miles out of a battery.
Doing like,
but that's not realistic.
40 miles an hour.
Yeah, 40 miles an hour.
Doing that on a highway.
That's not realistic.
Nobody is.
So I'm looking forward to, I want to get a Tesla.
Oh my God. So much.
Listeners, buy me a Tesla.
Yeah.
Buy one for the podcast.
Or better yet, just download the podcast. Tell your friends to download the podcast. Yeah. Tell their friends to download the podcast.
And then all of you pitch in to buy us a Tesla.
Well, what'll happen is we'll get so many downloads that all these happy sponsors will come out and they can start backing the truck up to our house.
Yeah, Elon can buy us a Tesla. Yeah. The cost for him is going to be a lot lower than the cost for you.
Yep.
Yeah. All we need is for like 1 to 7 billion of you to download the podcast, get like super into it. And Shane and I will be well on our way to to having a Tesla, I guess.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll have it Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays.
Okay. And I'll get the other ones.
Yeah.
That means I get 4 days a week.
Well,
I don't know if you could hear that. I'm sure you could.
That was a happy finger slap.
Yeah, I was like, I think that's from Chew, right? I think it is when you're like going to take a dip. You do that to like tap it down.
Yeah.
But it just became a symbol of like winning or something. I don't even know.
Our kids used to do it a lot in high school.
Yeah.
Only they'd whack your head with that shit sometimes.
I remember doing it when we'd like, we were driving from Vancouver to Edmonton, and every time we did probably 160 kilometers an hour the whole way. And every time we'd pass a car, especially if we had to pass like 2 cars or 3 cars, we'd be like,
go, 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 go.
Yeah. A big celebratory win.
Yeah.
All right. So Elon Musk, anything else we need to say about Elon? Great episode. 5 out of 5.
100%.
Third eye.
Best episode in a long time.
Rogan, third eyes open.
He dropped a hint about Bernie Sanders. last
Yeah.
week. And I don't know if that's happening or not, but that's another big one that I'm super looking forward to.
Yeah.
Because we don't hear Bernie get grilled by someone like Joe Rogan too often.
Yeah, I wonder. They'll talk obviously a lot about universal basic income and about because Bernie was libertarian prior to running as a Democratic candidate, right?
I'm not sure.
When was he a libertarian as governor? Because he was the governor of Long Island.
I'm not sure.
Something in upstate New York. He was the governor previously,
Mhm.
and then he became a Democratic candidate for presidency. I think he might have been libertarian. A lot of his views are definitely libertarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a super exciting one to.
But for a
listen to.
Democratic candidate, that's were I an American, that's probably where I'd be looking.
Mhm.
I'm not too excited about another Hillary
Mm.
campaign. Or
No,
I mean, we're gonna have a repeat. I think.
we'll see. It's the
And
future
again,
is
we
untold.
aren't.
Yeah.
The Americans down south are.
Yeah, if definitely if it's Hillary against Trump again, I can't imagine she wins that race.
No.
But if it's Bernie against Trump, maybe.
I think if Bernie had been there the first time, he could have taken it.
Yeah, he probably could have.
Trump's made a bit of a mess.
It'll all depend on if Larry Sharpe can get the governorship of
For sure.
New York. That'll change the world. As
I'm
he
always
said.
surprised with how many people are still on board with Trump, though. You see
Shane,
him all over the place.
That's true. We were just talking to an old friend of ours who was who
So
was super
many of my
pro-Trump.
old
We're
friends.
Like, why do you care?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jason Johnson. Hashtag Jason Johnson for president.
Get on Facebook. He'll never.
All right. I don't know. Is there anything else we need to say about the Elon Musk episode?
No, I think we covered it.
Okay. We're 46 minutes in. We've gone like 15 minutes over our regular podcast time. Obviously, a big week. Obviously, I'm drunk, and we've talked about other things that beyond Joe Rogan. But thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Hope you're digging this podcast as much as we're digging recording it and having fun doing it.
Having a goddamn blast.
Yeah, we are super fans, no doubt.
Give us some feedback.
Yeah, send us some emails. Follow us on the social medias. Send us some comments on the social medias.
Yep. So that's the Joe Rogan. Oh my God, I do it every time. The Rogan Report at gmail.com.
Yeah, should we have gone the Joe Rogan Report?
I don't think so.
Okay, good. The
it's
Rogan
too close.
Report.
Rogan Report Pod on Twitter and Instagram.
For now. I
For
feel
now.
like we might.
We're gonna find
change
that
it
motherfucker
to,
that has the real one,
Yeah.
and we're gonna.
Well, one of them we have available to us, don't we?
Well, yeah, the Gmail.
No. What about our both Twitter and Instagram? We can't get the Rogan
Those
Report.
are both Rogan Report Pod.
Because we couldn't get it on either of them? I thought you said we could get it
I
on
think
one
one of them we could, but I wanted to keep it the same for both.
I don't know if we should be the same.
Well, we'll
I
see
think
what we can.
we should try to be the same. I think it should be the Rogan Report on as many things as we can have it.
Okay.
And then whenever we can't get the Rogan Report
I
on,
think I can change the one.
I know you can.
Yep.
I believe in you, Shane. And yeah, anything we can't get the Rogan Report, then we should go Rogan Report Pod.
Fair enough.
I think
Yep.
that's legit.
So you're going to see a lot of posts from us once we go live here, which
Yeah.
I guess we already have if you're listening to this.
If you're listening to this, we're live. If you're not listening to this, fuck you.
And by that he means, please listen to us.
Yeah, please. Okay, that's it.
Have a great night.
Goodbye.
We'll see you next time.
Hey there, Joe Rogan, super fan. This podcast is for you, my man. Or woman, or non-binary. Our recaps will be legendary. The Rogan Report Podcast. Come on, you'll have a blast at the Rogan Report Podcast.